Hey everybody, welcome to Bear Insider, Ultimate Insider. I'm Mike Pawlawski, and today we are talking our post-Wake Forest breakdown and our Syracuse preview coming up. I talked to Coach Wilcox in a little bit, but let's break down that Wake Forest win for the Bears for the first part of this. You always appreciate a win. You have to have gratitude for a win. So a win on the road at Wake Forest, not an easy ask in the fact that you're traveling across country for the Bears, but a team who was also trying to figure out who they are this year. So you get a win on the road, good thing. It's also kind of the best of all worlds for a coach because coaches are always looking for something to coach on. Well, it was a sloppy win for the Bears. There's a lot of things that you can coach up in that game that you can get better at, that you can improve. And so a good win that you can coach off of. And the Bears come back this week, and the coaches are coaching hard, getting ready for Syracuse coming up. Let's start a couple of places, good places for the Bears. Special teams were outstanding in this game for the most part. Kick cover, Hunter Barth going down, making a play as a guy who's also been a big role player on defense, but going down, making a play, a tackle, and then a strip to get the ball out. Fantastic. When he does that, Miles Williams is in his lane. He's rushing as he's supposed to, or covering, I should say, as he's supposed to. He's right there where he's supposed to be. Ball comes right to him. He picks it up, scoop and score. Huge play for the Bears, huge play. And so special teams were good. Our kickers, we've had a few kicking issues this year. Florida State, NC State come to mind, top of mind. And both kickers got to get into action in field goals this game. Derek Morris, 2 for 2. Good for him. He's actually been, outside of the one kick at NC State, he's been pretty solid. And then, because of the length of the field goals, over 50 yards, 54 yards to be exact, Ryan Coe had 2 goes at it in this game. The first one, we were up there in the booth. He didn't hit it solidly. He didn't hit it perfectly. And it still cleared the bar. And as broadcasters, we were on that side of the field looking at it. We're like, oh, yes! And it made it over for the field goal. So that was huge. And then he came back and hit the second one. Absolutely crushed it. And hit it with a leg that we know that he has. Would have been good from 65 yards easy. But so one of the things that Ryan Longwell talks about as you coach kickers is, your A kicks are going to be good every time, but you need your B kicks to go through. And this was the first kick for Coe was a B kick, but he made it through. That gave him confidence for the next kick, which was, of course, an A kick. So 2 54-yard field goals in the same game, gets the ACC Special Teams Player of the Week. Pretty big time. Pretty good comeback. Nice resurrection for him after struggling with some kicking issues early. So that was really good to see for the Bears to have that kind of success in the kicking game and the special teams game. Really good. Defensively, I thought the Bears did a really nice job. We talked about the slow mesh going into that game versus Wake Forest. I thought the Bears did a nice job handling the slow mesh, keeping a clean pocket for the most part. Claiborne did get out a couple times, found a seam on the handoff. And then I can remember in particular one pass downfield, Bachmeier ran the slow mesh, held it, and he hit the slant at the second level, which is what it's designed to do, create that second level gap. But those are the only 2 big plays that I remember the slow mesh creating. Other than that, I think the Bears did a nice job in that. Now remember, it was only 15% of the offense going in. I don't even know if it was that much in this game. But the Bears handled it. You don't see it very often, so they handled a new wrinkle and did a nice job against it. The one issue for me is eye discipline on defense. The Bears actually ran a series where they ran 2 trick plays in a row where you bring in your backup quarterback, put him into the formation, you run some reverses, throwbacks, that kind of thing. And they ran 2 of them back to back. And then Chandler Rogers is in twice, and then he throws a pass, and you run your trickery and you get a couple yards off of it. But then the very next series, Wake Forest comes back and they run their trick play. Only their trick play is a huge play for them. And so you get your eyes in the wrong place, you lose eye discipline, and Wake Forest took full advantage of it with speed. And so that's something that you got to clean up on defense. I think overall, Bears did a pretty nice job stifling Wake Forest in that game. Once again, Fernando Mendoza was really, really good on offense. Another career passing day for him, 385 yards this time. 2 touchdowns on the day, the 1 interception that he threw. He wishes he had back. And all of us as quarterbacks have those throws all the time that we wish we had back. And quite honestly, you need to get away with about 4 or 5 throws a game where you're like, that wasn't smarter. Maybe I made the wrong read. And so if you can do that, you can get away with those 4 or 5 games. And at the end of the game, your day looks really clean and looks really good. If you don't, then you have an interception here or there. That was another one. You had the interception in the game. But 2 nice touchdown passes, a really nice fade route to Tobias Merriweather on one as well. And we haven't seen the fade route since, I believe, Auburn. So it was good to see that. On offense, you got a couple guys, NIL guys, in the game who we have not seen all year long. Tobias Merriweather, receiver from Notre Dame, being one of them. Keon Graves, wide receiver from Ohio State, being the other. And we didn't expect a whole lot of reps out of either one of them. But Merriweather, I think, went for almost 50 plays in this game as a receiver. And Graves, I think his first play in the game, first play that I saw him in the game, he catches a pass. So, and he contributed, caught a lot of passes in this game. So a big day for the Bears. Merriweather was literally targeted 11 times in this game. And he felt good. The injury, his health felt good coming out of the game, so that's always good to hear. Defensively, unfortunately, Cade Uluave went down early in the game, and so both Hunter Barth and Liam Johnson had to come in and fill in at that spot. Both of them made huge contributions on defense. I already talked about Hunter's contribution in special teams, but Liam Johnson, got to listen to him speak last week, really, really likable guy. The transfer out of Princeton, he was a former Ivy League Defensive Player of the Year, and he came out and got the pick to seal the game for the Bears. So huge plays, huge contributions by guys who we haven't been seeing a lot out of. Hunter Barth and Liam Johnson are both role players. Cade Uluave was clearly the guy coming in. They played their role. They learned the system. They played extremely well on defense. Offensively, 2 guys that were expected to be marquee guys finally stepping into the offense. And it's nice to get some of those NIL players on the field because Cal has 3 of them this year who up until last game had not made a contribution at all. So nice to see them out there. Nice to see them contributing. It would be nice, too, to get Jay Knott going as well in that regard, in that we've got to get a run game going. Offensive line, once again, really unable to get things going up the middle. The inside run game, there was a little bit of fly sweep, outside zone type of stuff that worked. But the quarterback run game really was the big piece of it late in the game. And so Fernando Mendoza ended up rushing. He was the leading rusher for the team at 51 yards, and that even includes minus sack yardage. And so offensively, 385 passing, 51 rushing, 436 yards total for Fernando Mendoza in this game. Great game for him. And he just keeps getting better every game, but he's super accurate passing, really good in terms of making decisions 90% of the time, which is really good. And so his percentage is up, passer rating is up, and he's protecting the football for the most part, doing a good job generating offense for the Bears where they need it. So that's my take on the Wake Forest game. Right now I'm going to talk to Coach Wilcox, and we'll come back and we'll take a look at Syracuse real quick at the end. Joining me now, head coach Justin Wilcox. And Coach, good win. Any win is a good win, but a good win on the road, tough game, late game versus Wake Forest on a Friday. Tell me about the game after watching film.
Yep. It's good to get a win going across the country. We knew Wake Forest was going to be a really well-coached team. They have some really good players, and it was great to find a way to win in the fourth quarter. The offense did some good things. We were streaky on offense. Same thing on defense. Had some really good moments, and then we're inconsistent at times on defense, especially fourth quarter and some critical downs. And the difference in the game was the special teams and the turnover margin. That was really the difference, because on special teams we had four field goals. 2 of them were from 54 yards. We had a blocked field goal, and then we had a caused fumble return for a touchdown, which was a huge play. So it was great to get a victory. When we watched the video, the coaching point and the emphasis is like, guys, if we can on offense, if we got to score touchdowns in the red zone, because we move the ball pretty well most of the day, not all the day, but most of the day. But we got to put the ball in the end zone. We got to run the ball more effectively, and that starts up front. And then defensively, it's the critical downs and playing 4 quarters. We got worn out on the one drive where they kind of ran the ball, and then we had the next drive. We had a 4th and 10. We didn't get off the field, and we got to be able to finish games on defense. And if you do that, if you can do those 2 things, well, then I think the difference in that game is going to be pretty significant. We're going to feel a lot different with 6 or 8 minutes left to go in the 4th quarter. But the guys found a way to win, made some big plays late, with Liam Johnson having a huge interception. Then we were able to punch it in. So there's a lot of lessons to learn, and there is some good football being played, but we need to play a complete game as a team, offense, defense, and special teams, and let's see what that looks like.
Well, you mentioned streakiness. What would you point to when you're talking about the streakiness? What do they need to do to improve that?
Well, I mean, offensively, it's going to be, I think, starts with the more efficient run game. We obviously threw the ball well, but there was drives in there where, the first drive, we get a holding call, and a 4th and 2, we run the ball and we get a holding call. Well, that's a 4-point play right there. A little bit later in the game, we're moving the ball, and then we hand the ball off. We take a minus yardage play on a first down. Second down, we get sacked, and now it's 3rd and 25, where we had the ball at the 30 going in. So there's like all those things where it's like we just can't go backward. We got to run the ball efficiently, don't go backward, and the way we're throwing it and Fernando's accuracy, we can move the ball forward, but we need to play more. We need to have better balance offensively. Defense, I mean, the first, I can't remember if it was like 15 plays of the game or something, or there was 3 and outs. We had 2 sacks, really doing a good job. And then I think it was that we gave up a play we had to turn the ball over. They scored on that drive. And then the next drive, we get them in a 4th and 1, and we get bad eyes with our coverage, and they throw a trick play touchdown. And late in the game, defense missed tackles on one drive, and then they score a touchdown. We look tired. And then on the next drive, we had them 4th and 10, and they get a first down off a 4th and 10, and then I think we get a penalty later in that drive, and then all of a sudden they score again. And so finishing the game on defense in the 4th quarter is critical. But there's moments in there where it's like, man, we're getting after them, we're hitting the quarterback, we're tackling, but just got to play a complete game.
Yeah, defensively, 7 sacks on the night. That's obviously a great stat. 3 more takeaways and interceptions from 3 different guys. One of the big, from my viewpoint, one of the big reasons that you've had the success that you've had is your takeaways have been really good. But the reason that you haven't been able to put those games away, as we talked about, is finishing those touchdowns. You're trading field goals for touchdowns. So talk about the defense, getting pressure on the quarterback. You had 3 guys with 2 sacks each. You had Carlton had 2 sacks, Hunter Barth, and then David Reese all had sacks. What were they doing to get to the quarterback?
Well, some of those were off of, obvious pass, which you love seeing those. Early in the game, we had 2 obvious pass situations, had sacks. Late in the game, David Reese had an up and under, obvious pass situation, sack. And then some of those were off of, normal down and distance. And maybe a couple were on this slow mesh, like Ryan McCullough had a great one, was a sack. Hunter Barth, scramble, caught him and sacked him. So it's effort, it's covering in the back end. It all works together, as you know, and those negative plays, those sacks are huge. We also gave up, I think, 2 third down quarterback scrambles where we had bad pockets, which isn't acceptable. But, the takeaways and the sacks were huge on defense. And we just got to, again, do that more consistently. And then when we get the ball, that we're able to go down and put the ball in the end zone. We had a great opportunity to have the ball inside the 30-yard line another time on a Ryan Yates on a punt. We punted the ball, and we got the ball out again, and got the ball, but we had a face mask penalty by a gunner, which was a really bad penalty. Like, those things cannot happen. And so, yeah, it's just, when we're making good plays, we got to capitalize on those good plays and really be able to finish drives, finish a game, finish people, and we're just kind of hanging around a little bit too long.
Yeah, and which always makes it tough, right? Anything can happen when you're letting them hang around, and teams kind of keep that energy. A couple new faces. We talked about them last week. Liam Johnson, Hunter Barth, both filling in for Cade. Cade started the game. Cade played some. Obviously, he went back out. Both those guys stepped up and played big time in this game.
They did, and both of them got game balls. Hunter Barth, 2 sacks. He made tackles again, and then the kickoff play. I mean, that was a great time play. I mean, that was intentional. He's tackling him. He's got him wrapped up. Then he rakes the ball out. Miles Williams is exactly where he's supposed to be as the fold guy, scoops it and runs it in. I mean, that is a big-time play by Hunter Barth. And then Liam, late in the game, we need a play, and he intercepts the ball. I mean, that was a huge play, a big-time play. We were quarters on that. They ran kind of a 2-by-2 route with a curl on the outside. He undercut it and picked the ball off. That was a big-time play.
Yeah, and you start to see, I've seen kind of guys as they come up, they have their own styles, but if you have a really good player ahead of you, Cade Luave in this case, you start to take on some of that style because you see how effective it is. You could see a little bit of Cade's style in the way Hunter was playing during this game. I thought the way he was chasing down quarterbacks, chasing down the ball. Yeah,
I mean, Hunter's, he's really put his time in here. He made his way on special teams. He started at safety, moved down to linebacker. He's done a great, Peter Sermon's done a great job with that whole room. I mean, since we've been here, we've had really productive inside linebacker play. And when you lose a player, the caliber of Cade, and to have those two guys step up and make, game-changing plays, that's a testament to those players, the demands that they put on themselves, and then the coaching and the demands they're receiving in the inside linebacker room from Peter.
Yeah, so let's flip sides. The offensive side of the ball, a couple of new faces over there. Tobias Merriweather shows up. You target him, end up getting 11 targets. We had talked about maybe 15, 20 plays because just trying to get him back in, but he has 11 targets. And then Grays as well comes out there, and he makes an impact right away with a couple catches.
Yep, it was great having them back. Tobias played. We were thinking he would probably play less, but he was feeling great. He looked good out there. He's a little rusty. I mean, I think it's natural. You haven't played in a game in a long time, haven't been in live football really in a long time. So it was great to have him back out there. And he'll continue to feel more and more at ease and comfortable within the system and playing live again. And the same with Keon. Keon, I think the first play he ran out there, we threw him out, and he made a great catch on it. The next play, he runs an over route, makes a great catch. So it's good having those guys back. Keon's his role will continue to grow, and both those guys are out there practicing in this week.
And we mentioned the running game not as productive as you would like to see, but as a result, you end up throwing the ball 56 times. I know you don't want to do that in the game if possible, but Fernando, extremely efficient, almost 72% passing in this game, 2 touchdowns, the 1 interception. But he's a guy who's really stepped in at the beginning of the year. And the middle of last year, you had a young quarterback, not a lot of seasoning to him. Now you're putting a lot on his shoulders. Talk about his evolution.
I think you've seen the growth. I mean, he's now into his teens on the number of starts that he's had. And you, Mike, would know as well as anybody that there is a curve. Regardless of how ready you think you are, there is a curve. And it's really a testament to him to be able to learn from things, I think Sterling Gilbert's done a great job with him, just simplifying what things to focus on. His feet, he's in rhythm much more than he was a year ago, and he's an accurate thrower. Like when he knows where he wants to go, he can spin the ball and put it on people. I mean, there's some routes in there, like there was a dig and a post, a skinny post, and a slant. He threw some really accurate balls, like on a rope. He threw a comeback. It was a beautiful throw. He threw a corner route on the run to Mikey that was just an absolute rope. He can throw. And so we need to run the ball better. We can still do a little bit better job in protection. And Fernando can do some things better for sure. I mean, we did a good job in the 1-minute drive. There's a play there he needs to have back. There's a play early in the game with the interception that he won't make again, mistake that he won't make again. So I think there's plenty of room for him to continue to get better, but he's definitely, it's kind of like you see it pretty obvious before our eyes, the improvement that he's made.
Yeah, no doubt. At this stage of a quarterback's career, it goes game to game, you see improvement, and then the offseason becomes an even bigger jump, right? And until you get to about year 5 of being the starter and getting all those reps, it's just every game is a difference maker. You learn and you improve. And so I just love seeing that in him. Talk about the run game. At this point of the season, can the run game step up? Can it get better?
It can. I mean, I think the biggest thing is getting all 5 of those linemen on the same page. It's not, there's no excuse, but there is an explanation. We've had 6 different starting O-lines at 9 games now. So it's, how do we have, we need to do a better job, just everybody get on the same page, targeting the right people, coming off the ball. And there are opportunities to make some good plays in there. And it starts with the O-line, but the tight ends, the backs, the quarterback, the receivers, everybody's involved in the run game, but it obviously starts up front, and we can be much better. We're certainly not giving up on that. And there was some really good runs in the game, and then the QB run game was a huge part of the second half. I mean, the QB run game became a real part of the game, and a lot of the reason we finished the game like we did was because we had some QB runs going. And like, we don't necessarily want to, be a 30 reps a game of QB run, but it was a weapon for us, and we can do some other things much better in just the designed RPO game where we get more productive and efficient runs.
Yeah, and then that opens up your passing game as well because they complement each other so well, and so teams have to pick their poison.
Yeah,
it would be nice to see those both kind of pick up together. So great win, Wake Forest. You get your first ACC win. Congratulations on that. Let's talk, flip the page and let's talk about Syracuse coming into town now. Tell me about the Syracuse team, what you see on film. Yeah, they were throwing the hell out of the ball, and then had 2 games where they kind of stumbled, 5 interceptions versus Pitt, and then last game versus Boston College, they threw the ball well again. So talk about what you see on film and what do you expect from Syracuse?
Yeah, I mean, they're a potent passing attack. The Pitt game's really the only outlier. It's 350 yards a game. Kyle McCord's a very talented quarterback. They got weapons at receiver, tight end. The running back's a good player. But again, they're one of the best pass offenses in the country. So it is going to be a tall task for our defense. These guys score over 30 a game. They throw it for 350, and the weapons they have, it's going to take our front, the linebackers, the cover guys to step up big time. This is a huge challenge.
As I've watched their game on TV, I haven't studied a ton of film on them yet, but as I watch their games on TV, it seems like the RPO game is a big piece of what they're doing. Again, a lot of that passing is due to the RPO game. Was that a fair judge?
Yeah, and they do, and they had that back is a good player. And, the way that RPOs are designed, I mean, in theory, they want to hold the chalk last. Anybody that runs an RPO, it's like you want to get yourself in a good play based on, who you're reading, whether it's a first-level defender as a D end or a second-level defender as a inside backer, or is it even a third-level defender as a safety? Like, what's the safety rotation? So they do a good job with it. The quarterback, again, he sees it well. He's played football. He's a very talented guy. And so defensively, you just got to be really sound. I mean, you got to be really sound, and then you're going to be in some one-on-one situations. That's what these offenses are designed to do, is put people in one-on-one matchups, and then you have to win your share because they can throw it accurately and put it on people. So we got to do a good job winning our share and changing up the looks. You can't line up. I mean, this is not a game where you got to, if you line up in over quarters the whole game, it'll pick you apart, So you're going to have to kind of change the picture. And rushers, how many guys you're rushing, what fronts you're playing, what coverages you're playing, where's the rotation, all that stuff.
And they have a good tight end in Aronde Gadsden. I told the crew, I played against his dad. We gave each other concussions in a game one time.
Yeah.
In the Arena League. And so, but he
was a really good player too.
His dad was a really good football player and ended up in the NFL for years. But he is a mismatch, right? And one of the positions we've talked about this year, that nickel position, is Little John coming back helps. Cam Sidney is with those 2 guys together, they're kind of platooning the job, but that's a mismatch there. How do you handle that?
Yeah, I think we've talked long and hard about that. There's going to be times where when you get a guy like that, it's got size and catch radius. It's like, okay, well, how do you want to play him? You play him in zone, you try and break on it with 2 guys. You play him in man. Okay, well, you're going to solo man him, like who's going to cover him? And then if you're going to play man with help, how do you want to play it? High and low or in and out, where you do have a helper. So again, there's just different ways that you got to, and then you can't do it the same way the whole game.
Right.
And they can find you, you have to change the stress of the defense. Like you can't just run bracket on him the entire game. You might limit more of his catches, but there's other things that are going to happen. So, obviously, all those things are taken into account. Our coaches are going to do a great job game planning, and we'll have a good plan going in, and then we'll have to be able to adjust on the fly based on what's happening in the game.
Awesome. Well, look forward to being back on Memorial Stadium. Congratulations on the win last week, Coach, and looking forward to watching the game this weekend.
Thanks, Mike.
So this week, the Bears have Syracuse coming in. This game allows them to become bowl eligible. They can win their 6th game here, and it's a huge one. So if I were a coach, that's what I would be talking about all week long. Focus on this game, this matchup, this win. It's the most important thing in the world. You can get yourself, you control your own destiny. You can make yourself bowl eligible with this game right here. You can earn an extra game. And so that's huge. What bowl games do for you, besides giving you confidence, now you're a bowl team, you get an extra win. Winning is the glue that binds a team together. And it gives you more practice time. So those younger players that you want to develop that need reps get more practice time as a team, more time together as a team on teams that like each other. And from everything that I've seen, this team likes each other, creates a better atmosphere, creates more chemistry, and improves the situation for a team. You get better together. And so the Bears need it. Bears need a lot of bowl practice. They need some time together. They need to get this win this week. A couple of places that you need to look. I talked about it with Coach. But Kyle McCord, really good football player. Transferred from Ohio State. He can really sling the rock. And at one time, earlier in the season, he was averaging over 50 passes a game. So he can spin it. He's really accurate. He'll tear you apart if you give him time to do it. Bears have to find a way to pressure him to keep him from being the difference maker that he has the potential for being in this game. LaQuint Allen, running back for Syracuse, really good football player. He won the Battle of Wills in the UNLV game that they won on the last second play in overtime, where literally him versus the linebacker, they were locked up outside of the end zone, and he kept battling and got the ball into the end zone. And so he is an outstanding football player. They haven't used him as much between the tackles running the football, but he is great catching the ball out of the backfield. He is as good a receiver as he is a running back. And so he's versatile. He's tough to cover, and it's going to create matchup problems if you get him out in space versus linebackers, which is where he's been very good. Plus, they run a lot of their passing game off of an RPO set. So it's a different look. You're going to have to be aware of where LaQuint Allen is on the field at all times. And then I think the really key matchup, especially on big downs, big plays, red zone stuff, is Aronde Gadsden, the wide receiver, or he's a tight end for Syracuse. But they split him out as a wide receiver. He's got the skill set of a wide receiver with the body size of a tight end. And you heard me talk about my story with Coach. His dad and I gave each other concussions in the Arena League. And so his dad was an incredibly talented player, really, really good football player. And after playing in the Arena League, he went on to play for, I think, 11 or 12 years in the NFL. So good football player. His son is he's every bit, a chip off the old block. And so Bears have to find a way to take advantage or to stop that matchup from being a big problem for them, because they've had problems at that tight end position. We saw it versus NC State. Oregon State did it last year. Like there's a matchup issue at that nickel spot versus tight ends. And you can't constantly double that guy because it leaves you exposed in other places. And so you have to find a way to mix and match to make it happen to help your defense so that they can win the majority of those battles. But that's the matchup that I look for. Offensively, Syracuse has not been a fantastic defensive team, so the Bears need to run the ball. They're going to face that stack 3-3 stuff. And so you have to gash that defense when they decide to bring the blitzer, when they decide to send him wherever they send him. You have to find a way to gash that and take advantage of that missing gap or create an extra gap based on what they're doing. Bears have not been effective running the football this year at all. especially not inside the last couple of games. And so they need to find a way to be effective running the football just to take a little bit of the stress off of the passing game. Jay Knott just waiting to break out, hasn't had the looks inside. And people keep coming up to me and saying, well, Jay Knott this and Jay Knott that. Yeah, that's fine, but the offensive line has to do their job. Running backs are only as good as their offensive line allows them to be. Once they get to the second level, then you can see if there's uniqueness and specialty to a running back. But they have to get through that first level, through that first gap. And Cal's offensive line has not been great at creating those seams this year. So that has to change for this game. Will it change? I don't know. Is it too late in the season? I don't know. You've got the guys that you come with. You've got the guys that you're working with. I guarantee you that Mike Pawlawski has been teaching them the right blocking schemes and teaching them where he wants them to be. So at this point in the season, you hope that there's still room for improvement. And as an athlete, you always think that there is. So that's why you continue to practice. But they need to find something in that running game. Fernando needs to continue doing what he's doing. He just keeps getting better every game, week in, week out. He's just improving. He's now, I think Coach Wilcox talked about, in the teens in terms of the amount of games that he started. So he still has so much growth left in him. Once you start saying, I've seen that before, I've been here before, I've done this before, I know what it feels like, and now just go execute, you grow that comfort level, and it's huge. So he just needs to keep growing, get better. I've been really impressed with his growth this year. And that's about it. Bears can find a way to do that and continue to have good special teams, have guys like Liam Johnson, guys like Hunter Barth filling in. The nickel position, Cam Sidney, Matt Littlejohn are going to be huge this game. We'll see how it turns out. Those are the key matchups you have to watch for in this game. And the Bears, the reason they've been in all these games is that turnover takeaway ratio. We talked about it. And the Bears need to continue that trend. That's been their best asset all year long. Take the ball away. Don't give it away. Give yourself every opportunity. If they can do those things, get a win, become bowl eligible, it's a huge victory for them this Saturday. You can hear me on the radio, KGO 810, and my partner, Justin Wilcox, will be on there. I love calling these games. Some of them have been frustrated this year, so I know just like you guys, you get a little frustrated with it. Getting that win last week was nice. I'd love to get another one. Say that they're bowl eligible, take some of that pressure off, and allow this team to play free. Appreciate you guys watching. I'll talk to you again next week, as always, for Bear Insider and the Ultimate Insider Podcast. I'm Mike Pawlawski. Go Bears.